And we're also tracking a third threat. We're talking about an area of low pressure that's going to be churning over through the northern plains and eventually into the Midwest, and it is going to bring a dangerous stretch of snow and gusty winds. We're talking about major travel disruptions from the Dakotas all the way to the Great Lakes, not just about your airports. We're also looking at a bad setup for just road travel. Bad news for millions of Americans with somewhere to go today.
3 weeks out, we were like, we don't know if we're going to make the trip, but we'll see. Our friend is a pilot for United, so he said just come prepared for whatever happens.
Yeah, like show up early enough, make sure you check in, and just keep checking your tickets. And we thankfully haven't had any delays.
And hopefully that's going to be your case too. I mean, no delays. It's a possibility unless you were flying into Atlanta this morning. Driving through Atlanta, a huge mess. We had a severe thunderstorm warning briefly, but as soon as that and as quickly as that storm moved in, it's already moving out. At airports, we get these ground delays, ground stops. The ground stop that was issued for Hartsfield-Jackson has since been lifted. Visibility is improving, and even those roads might be a little slick, but much better. You can already see one of those planes. I don't know if it's taxiing to the gate or to the runway. Regardless of that, things are moving again, and we like to see that. It doesn't mean that things are going to be dry, though, for the rest of the day. You can consider this as the first punch of 2 rounds we'll get for Atlanta. We wait on a cold front to swing through. Once that front swings through and we get a drier air mass, then we'll see those conditions improve. But until then, we're going to be in this sector where things are just unstable. In fact, those same storms that moved through Georgia this morning, Atlanta, before the sun rose, they were moving through Alabama, and in northern Alabama, south of Huntsville, but closer to Birmingham, Montgomery, we're tracking about 45,000 customers without power, and we've got more storms on the way. Really need to pay attention to this cluster that's moving in. Everything's sub-severe, but you know what's wild, Marissa? As those storms move through Atlanta, they are just petering out.
Yeah, big time.
We're really seeing them weaken. But there is more activity to the west, so I think that's what we have to pay attention to. It's not one round and we're done. It's maybe a couple of rounds. And as these storms get away, I know it might look a bit ominous. The cloud presentation will be cool.
Yeah.
The storms are not as intense now.
I saw some really beautiful photos capturing the storm coming in, that shelf cloud into the Atlanta metro. Yeah. I mean, it had fierce winds, and I think anytime you get a squall line with a very defined bow, it does look very ominous and threatening. And make no mistake, there's still going to be some gusty winds. You'll feel that thing approaching you as winds start to pick up. But the fact that it's not warned means we're not dealing with those severe threshold of wind, which would be at least 58 miles per hour. So it's a long day, though. It's a long day.
It is, and you have to wait in the afternoon for things to destabilize, maybe for winds to pick up, for that front just to flex a little bit with this different air mass along that front. Remember yesterday, and we'll talk more about it, in the Houston metro along the upper Texas coastline, we did not have widespread storms, but we just had one that was able to rotate, and it moved over Harris County and it produced a tornado. Same thing could happen today in Mississippi and in Alabama, maybe even into Georgia. That risk does expand, but it has to do with what comes later this afternoon. The storms that we've had this morning, mainly a wind threat, but also weakening as we're now seeing what's happening. Here are those storms that might be a little more discreet and just trying to bubble up this afternoon into the warm sector.
Yeah, I think, when you get this highlighted area, it's just anywhere within that zone, it's a possibility. And it was very unfortunate for that part of Harris County outside of Houston, which, as you said, it landed in a more populated zone. And that's what we need to be ready for. So getting through this afternoon, getting into the evening, I think a lot of folks probably trying to get on the road after work today. Atlanta airport, yet again, we'll be paying attention to these storms, but things really do fizzle as you get closer to the eastern seaboard. Can't rule out a rumble of thunder here or there, but further east, you do lose some of the oomph to these storms.
Yeah, for sure. And you might even, on Wednesday afternoon, have some of the residual effects, but doesn't look like anything will be severe on Wednesday for the eastern seaboard. But that's where the front's going to be placed, which really, when you think of it from a timing perspective, if Thanksgiving was most important, not the nice weather before you travel, although you almost would, depending on who you are, maybe traveling, you prefer better weather and then rough weather on Thanksgiving, if you find yourself inside. Yeah. I mean, different. different for everybody. But we do know that through Thursday, the eastern seaboard going to at least get some rain. Maybe in the southeast, it'll be more storms. And real quickly, rain moving into the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio River Valley and the Northeast. This moisture's all surging into the Northeast today.
Yeah, it's actually going to